Hey, Shalom, Shalom, when it starts, always by giving all praise to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahshua, Hashem, Akapadash, that belongs to the apostles of GMS and honesty, brothers, doing the work and truth. Well, sincerity, it's a quick one. This is Facebook bans Louis Farrakhan, Milo Yiannopoulos, Infowars, and others from its platforms as, quote, dangerous. Right now, the one that, caught my attention was Farrakhan, because, for instance, you hear about, Infowars and Milo Yiannopoulos, you hear, not saying you don't hear about, what do you call it, Louis Farrakhan, not saying that at all, right? But in terms of Milo and Infowars, they're known to have like a big online presence. Now, this may be my ignorance, I'll put that out there first, right, regarding Farrakhan, but it was the fact that he was, bundled up in there, and, I found it quite spiritual, because obviously, Apostle Taha put out, the decree about how basically, the doors are closed, right? And the other apostles are speaking on the same fact about how, they see it could potentially mean, right, that that the doors to this truth are closing, just like how Noah's Ark got closed, right, after a period of time, and just like how the old school got closed, right? And like I said, the apostles were speaking on that. No, not saying that's what it means, but like I said, I just found it quite spiritual that that decree was made, then the apostles made their statements, and then now this is happening. Well, why is this of importance? Right, because ultimately this is a sign of the times that we're in, right? It is a sign that, look, man, these prophecies are coming to pass, and the one I want to touch on and speak on is this one, right? It says, in fact, before we even get that, I'm gonna read a bit into this guy, right? This is from what's this? This is from Wikipedia, right? It says criticisms and controversy. This Farrakhan has been the center of much controversy with critics, saying that his political views and comments are anti-Semitic or racist, right? And as a true Hebrew man, that's a phrase that you start to detest, right? Anti-Semitic, right? As a true Israelite man, right? Why? Because you know the truth. You know that these guys ain't the real Israelites. Yet they've stolen your identity, right? And then they make it sound like they're the guys, which they're not the guys, man, right? And it's going to come, and that's why they're starting to push this thing a lot more heavier than the counterclaims against us. Because why? Because we're coming out and we're telling them, look, man, we're the real Hebrews, right? You ain't the Hebrews, man. Well, rather, we're the real Hebrew Israelites, right? Because they're Hebrews, they're Hebrew Edomites, these so-called Jews, right? It says Farrakhan has categorically denied these charges and stated that much of America's perception of him has been shaped by the media. Right now, with us, ain't gonna be any different, right? They gonna slander us, right? They gonna throw us under the bus, man, right? But that's just part of the job, right? That's what we signed up for. And if you didn't know, right, then hey, you should have done your research, man. Scripture says, which one of you who basically wishes to build a tower, said it's not down first and count for the cost, right? So if you're surprised by these things, you didn't do what was told of you to do, right? It says, I'll skip that, I don't really care. It says allegations of racism, right? So the Southern Poverty Law Center classifies Farrakhan's Nation of Islam as a hate group and black separatist organization. Now, this is the same group of people, right, that tried to say that the Israelites, or rather, as they put it, the black Hebrew Israelites, which many times we've told them, look, man, we ain't no black Hebrew Israelites, we're Hebrew Israelites. There are 12 tribes, right, and all of them are different shades of brown. There ain't no such thing as a quote black person, right? But it's all about this narrative, quote unquote, that they're trying to push, right? It says, as a leader of NOI, Nation of Islam, Farrakhan has preached the organization's theology that blacks are superior to whites. Now, when you look at the scriptures, right, whom the world deems as blacks, who really, refer to them as the Israelites, right, are superior to the so-called white man, right, the Edomites, right. Spirit had me do a video yesterday on sunburn. The very fact you get sunburn means you're inferior, man, right? How can you be? I mean, the whole world sees the sun, and you can't be in it, right? That's inferiority. Right now, you go track and field, Jake be ruling, right? But then, what's even worse, which is something that Esau's been trying to hold on for so long, whereas intellectually, Jake is finding out that these Edomites are actually really stupid, man, right? All of these, what would you call it, places of work, really what keeps it popping are the Israelites, man. That's what really keeps these businesses afloat, right? Because it's Israelites in there with the good ideas, but they ain't gonna get credit. The company gets the credit, right? So it goes on to say, he said, why? And this is where he goes off, right? Which is why Scripture says narrow is the broad is the gate, but narrow is the way that leadeth to salvation. Roughly paraphrase, I'm butchering that, but basically, look, the path to salvation is narrow, but the path to destruction is massive, right? Because if you're an Israelite, you realize that Esau's the devil, so-called white man's the devil, right? You don't know him by his name Esau, but you realize something ain't right in the world. You have a superiority, against these Edomites, right? And then you come across this, and you're like, yeah, I feel it. But then you read something like this, right? It says, he said that whites were created 6,600 years ago as a race of devils, which they are a race of devils, which the word devil means deceiver, right? Where he's pulled that number out of is by an evil scientist named Yaqub, right? Which where's that in the scriptures, right? Which is what I was, referencing the scripture. It says, broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, right? Because these philosophies, Yaqub, I mean, honestly, like I said, where's that in the scriptures, right? It says, at an event in Milwaukee in August 2015, Farrakhan said white people deserve to die, and they know, so they think it is us coming to do it. Oh, and you know what? That's a good point. Ultimately, right? Because in their spirit, they know they're guilty, right? And then when Esau is in the position that they're guilty, right, they start blaming, they start lashing out. Which what the scripture says, Revelation 12:12, right? About devil having great wrath because he knows he has but a short time, right? So Esau knows his time is short, right? So he's gonna lash out, man, right? Now, why am I reading into this guy? Because ultimately, right, everything that he's saying, right, in terms, in reference to these Edomites, not everything, obviously, because he goes off, right? Let me rephrase that. A lot of the stuff he's saying, we say, right? And if they're banning him, that ultimately means they're looking to start banning this truth, man, right? Which you can't blame him. How can you have your slaves in your own kingdom telling you you're going into slavery, right? That ain't good for business, right? Ain't good for morale, right? So I'll get into the scriptures now. Enough of that shit, right? It says Amos 8:11. It says, "Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, right? That will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor thirst for water, but of hearing the word of Yahweh," right? So they gonna come a time where we ain't gonna be out there on the streets anymore, right? We ain't gonna be out on the streets anymore. The YouTubes, they'll start taking. Each time you mention anything about these imposters, let's call them that. Each time you mention them, you put it in the video title. The video gets blocked, man, right? What kind of protection is that, right? That ain't fair. Now you can criticize anyone on the face of planet Earth, but you say something about them devils, right, them imposters, right, all of a sudden, right, your shit gets blocked, man. Well, not your shit, but your videos, your gospel, well, that you're teaching, it gets blocked, right? You get warnings in front of it and whatnot, right? It says, but of hearing the words of Yahweh, right? And hey, as I said, that's the key, one of the key things that we speak on, because if we're saying that we're the real Hebrew Israelites, we're saying that they're the fake Hebrew Israelites, right? Which means they ain't going like that, right? Like I said, that ain't good for business. They gonna have to, start, putting, what do you call it? start putting, putting red flags on all our videos, man. Right? It says Matthew 5:11 says, "Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake." Right? Hey, so blessed, when Esau starts putting on, our faces up on the TV, starts to slandering, starts doing this, that, and the other, right? Hey, really, we're blessed, right? It's a blessing and it's beautiful, right? Because, hey, ultimately, we're doing it for the Lord's work. Now, anyone from the Nation of Islam, when they're being reviled and rejected, it ain't a blessing unto them. Why? Because they're doing it in the name of Allah, right? In that Muslim God, so-called God, right? Which ain't no God. Scripture says in Psalms 96, all the gods of the nations are idols, right? And Allah is one of them, right? John 7:7, the world cannot hate you, but me it hateth, because I testify of it that the works thereof are evil, right? So, hey, when we're out there and people are hating us for what it is that we're saying, what the scripture is saying really is, look, they ain't hating you, they're hating on me. And why are they hating? Because, hey, all we're doing is we're speaking the word of the Lord. That's literally what we're doing, yet the people have an issue with it. Why? Because really they're evil, right? I'll give you an example. You speak on abortion, everyone be looking at you sideways. Why? Because, they don't want to admit that they've been doing wicked, right? Now, when you got a problem, right, what do they always say is the first step? Admitting you got a problem, right? But these people, they don't want to admit they have a problem, man, right? It says Mark 13:9 says, "But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to councils, and in the synagogues you shall be beaten, and you shall be brought before rulers and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them," right? So, hey, one of the things that gonna happen is we gonna be brought up, man. We gonna be brought up on charges, right? But then again, hey, it talks about, hey, don't take no thought for what you shall say, right? Because, hey, what the spirit we supposed to be getting into now is that real spiritual kind of spirit, man, right? Not worrying, oh, what if this, what if that? Just rolling in the spirit more, right? It's a good thing to pray for as well. Hey, Lord, hey, make me more spiritual, guide me more in the spirit, right? Hey, because, hey, the sooner you do that, the easier it is, right? This truth is difficult as it is without you worrying, right? Trying to take control of things. As you read the scriptures, you understand there ain't no such thing as free will, right? So here it is, you're stressing yourself out about something you have absolutely no control over, right? But these things gonna happen. We're gonna be brought up, man, right? Just like how Farrakhan and his people, they gonna be brought up, but they go, Farrakhan's being brought up, right? But they're being brought up under wickedness, man, right? It's the second Ezra 2:47 says, "So he answered and said unto me, it is the Son of the Most High, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord," right? Hey, because, hey, what does it mean to stand stiffly? That's talking about you're unmovable, right? And that implies you're being pushed against, right? People pushing you, like, well, you're going to stand firm. Are you going to stand firm for what you believe in? Right, and these are the people that are gonna get the reward. This is talking about the crowning, right? When Yahushua crowns the elect, right? Who's gonna have the people that are gonna get them crowns are the ones that didn't forsake the Lord, right? That were like, look, man, all right, cool, do what you gotta do, right? But they kept their faith strong until the end, right? But where my battery's done, so I'm try to wrap this up. So Revelation 2:10, right, it says, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer." And the beautiful thing is we're being told, right? And that's why brothers, starting with the apostles on down, that's why these videos are made, because it's a reminder of, look, man, remember what you're in, right? As a scripture I quoted before, right? Which one of you intend to build a tower? Consider not down first to count the cost if you have enough, right? It's why these videos have been done, to prepare you. Scriptures also say, Romans, right, whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, right? So it says, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the day devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I'll give thee a crown of life. Right, so be thou faithful unto death. I mean, hey, some brothers gonna have to die for this truth, man. Some gonna have to die, but when you really understand death, you realize, hey, especially what the Lord said, precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. Right, you read Wisdom, the 3rd chapter says, in the eyes of the unwise, they seem to die. Right, but then you read 1 Thessalonians 4, 16 and 17. You actually read that those that seem to die, they gonna be raised up with Yahushua first. They're gonna be in them chariots of the Lord, right? Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend, right? Which is what Yahushua did, and the servant ain't greater than his master, right? It says Acts 5:40. It says, and to him they agreed, and when they had called the apostles and beaten them, they commanded that they should not speak in the name of Yahushua, and let them go, right? It says, and they departed from the presence of the council, right? This is the apostles, they departed from the presence, right? It says, after they got beaten, right? It says, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name, right? So like I said, we're going to be slandered, right? And in all of this happening, right? The internet going to get shut down, right? Certain things will change, right? It ain't going to be business as usual very soon, right? It says, grab the next one. It's Romans 13:11, right? It says, and not knowing the time that now it is high time to wake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believe, right? Hey, yeah, man, look, man, you got to start getting this truth, man. Right, you got to start doing what you got to do, start serving the Lord, because this thing with Farrakhan, the decree that the apostle put out, that's a sign that these doors are closing, man. Right, that's a sign that we coming close and close to the famine of the world. We're coming close and close to the time. Right, you had loads and loads of legislation basically aimed at controlling what is said online. And that's the thing. If you're asleep, you be seeing what's being pushed online. You just think, oh yeah, well, whatever, right? But really, those things are being pushed and aimed, to shut down the internet, to shut down the prophets, right? Because we're the real threat to this man's existence. And the beauty of it is we don't have any guns. Right, all we got is the Spirit. All we got is the words of the Most High. What does the Scripture say in Hebrews 4:12? Right, the words, these bases, roughly paraphrasing, these words are sharper than two-edged swords, man. Right, piercing asunder to soul and spirit. Right. So Isaiah 55:6, seek ye Yahweh while he may be found, call upon him while he is near. Right, so call upon the Lord now, man. Right, hey, we coming close to the end, man. Right, and I believe that's all I got. Right, hey, so as always, Lord's will, brothers were edified. Until the next time, I'm gonna say shalom.